Welcome back to the channel. If you love exploring the wildest corners of pop culture and current events, you're in the right place. Look, I know our brains are currently operating on squirrel mode, and I'm practically sending a postcard from last week on this topic, but bear with me. I've got some thoughts brewing. By now, you've probably seen those images of Gayle King, Oprah Winfrey, and Kris Jenner. Well, I noticed a few things about these pictures that I really liked, and honestly, a few that made me pause. I'd love to know what you think. So many people have been buzzing about this photo, and what immediately jumped out at me was how Gayle and Oprah almost look like a supporting cast. I mean, they're practically backing up Kris Jenner. Now let's be clear, these women are leaders in their own right. Absolute powerhouses. But even in pictures where they're together, Kris Jenner consistently appears more central in the frame. And images really stick with us, right? They mean something. They get into our kids' heads too. Think about it. Kris Jenner in that soft, almost serene blue-green, while Gayle and Oprah are in darker colors, Oprah even in an animal print. These are all visual cues, all symbolism that we subconsciously absorb. What if Oprah was front and center? Or Gayle? These are those subtle, almost hidden messages that we often don't even notice, or that might even be unintentional on the part of whoever created the image, but they can still push a stereotype. Now, don't get me wrong, I adore these three ladies, and there's a lot to love about this picture. But does it, even unintentionally, play into a harmful stereotype? Here are these incredibly successful women, yet they seem to be positioned as the sidekick to Kris Jenner. It's like the Supremes to Diana Ross, or Michelle playing backup. You know, it's like when you have a lead singer, and then there are the people supporting them. You might think, come on. At their level, it shouldn't matter where they stand in a photo. But it's not just about them personally. It's about the impression these images leave on everyone else. Now, I totally get that this photo shoot was put out to promote Kim's brand. But yes, positioning a person in a photograph can significantly impact how the viewer perceives the image. Composition, which includes where a subject is placed, can influence the mood, storytelling, and overall success of a photo. And even with that context, it still doesn't excuse the potential visual message. This is where it gets particularly impactful, especially for younger, more impressionable individuals. When we see powerful, successful Black women consistently portrayed in supporting roles, even subtly, it can reinforce harmful stereotypes about their place in society. Children and teens in particular absorb these visual narratives without even realizing it. They might internalize the idea that Black women, no matter how accomplished, are meant to be in a secondary position. These patterns matter. The photos we see, the images we scroll past, and the way people are positioned all play a part in shaping what the next generation believes is possible for themselves and others. That's why it's so important to consider not just the intent behind a photo, but also the message it sends, especially to those who are still figuring out where they belong in the world. This can affect their self-perception, their aspirations, and even how they view leadership and power dynamics. Over time, repeated exposure to these kinds of subtle messages can cultivate a distorted view of reality, making certain roles seem normal or expected, even if they limit potential. The media plays a huge role in shaping our perception of reality, and repeated exposure to such portrayals can, over time, cultivate a distorted view of who holds power and who supports it. I really feel those in the public eye need to be far more conscious about the images they're putting out there, especially when engaging in these kinds of ventures. Gayle, Oprah, and Kris are at a point in their careers where they truly must recognize their immense impact on public messaging. And Oprah, bless her, I love her, and they all look absolutely gorgeous in the photos. but I just think they need to be a little more mindful of what they're projecting. Even in images where they're standing or sitting, Kris is often in the middle, the undisputed star, and they're the supporting cast. And let's be real, that's often the role society tries to push Black women into, the supporting cast. And that's also why these kinds of images are so prevalent. I know some people are totally celebrating this friendship, and genuinely, I love this bond between Gayle, Oprah, and Kris. Kris is 69, Gayle is 70, and Oprah is 71. As we all know, as you get older, your circle of friends tends to shrink. Some people pass away, some drift apart, or some simply aren't as social anymore. So seeing these three incredible women spending quality time together and just hanging out, that's truly wonderful to witness. I just strongly believe they need to be more mindful of the images they're putting out. It also makes me wonder about who chose these outfits. You know, certain women are often seen as softer in society, and because of that perception, they're frequently treated with more gentleness. Meanwhile, other women are considered less soft, more rugged, or capable, and consequently, they often receive harsher treatment. And think about this. Not once in any of these pictures did they even switch positions. No Oprah in the middle, no Gayle in the middle, no Kris on the side. Not once. It shows how deeply ingrained these patterns are. As we come to the end of this exploration, it's impossible to ignore the powerful role Kris Jenner often plays at the center of these viral images. Whether intentional or not, her positioning shapes how we interpret the stories these photos tell. It's a reminder that media, sometimes subtly, sometimes overtly, guides our perceptions and reinforces certain ideas about people and relationships. But here's the important part. We all have the ability to pause, question, and reflect on what we see. By being mindful of how images are constructed and what messages they send, we can start to unravel old narratives and make room for new ways of seeing the world and each other. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I'd love to hear what you think. Do you notice these patterns too, or do you see something different? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective matters, and together we can create a conversation that goes beyond the surface. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep looking a little closer.